basement during the remodeling?
But I wouldn't be too surprised if I got kicked out of the basement before the end of the review. But I feel lucky just to be able to do that much, since it's 5,778 degrees out there. And when the workmen were doing stage 1, they shut the water off. It felt like there wasn't another drop of H2O in the entire galaxy.
Isn't that the premise of Ice Pirates?
Yeah, pretty much.
And this is just a skit, right?
No, that might seem like the sort of parallel plot structure you'd see on a TV show or something, but no, this is real life.
That sounds awful. I mean, it would if I needed water to exist.
Oh yeah, by the way, remember those schematics future me accidentally left behind?
Yeah?
Well, Ralph and I took a look at them. He got in touch with my Donatello action figure. Turns out there were completed versions of stuff he was already working on. Since we sped up his research by about 5 years, he decided to make 2 of the Who's-Magigs and give you one. Not only that, since my dad was going to be updating the smart TV setup anyway, we decided to have the workmen install them for you.
What kind of who's a McGig?
Oh, not much. Just a multiversal singularity memory core with a multi-quantum communication array.
What? Yeah, quantum. What?
You're familiar with the concept of a multiverse, right?
The theory that everything that can happen does happen in another universe? Yeah, I've seen Sliders, and Loki, and those episodes of Star Trek.
Good. Imagine one branch of the multiversal tree collapsing into something akin to a black hole. Then imagine the technology to use that infinite compression for data storage.
That would give me.
Just an infinite number of omega bytes.
And how big is an omega byte?
All the data in the universe.
Doesn't that seem like overkill?
Maybe? But we're gonna need that if we're ever gonna crack time travel.
But didn't we do that when you reviewed
What?
Quantum Leap?
Which I never did.
Right, but why do we need to crack time travel?
Because if we don't, then I can never go back in time and correct the mistake I made in Planned 9th Matter Space. Which I did. So we're gonna, because we already have.
Do we have to do that now?
Unfortunately, no. What we've gotta do right now is review Ice Pirates.
You make it sound like a chore. This is my organic counterpart's favorite movie.
No. Nick's favorite movie is The Big Lebowski, and I've got photographic proof.
I'm pretty sure he likes this one.
Can you put that poster up for a minute? Yeah, this movie looks 80s-tastic. It's got elements of all the great movies of the period. The droid looks very Star Wars. The bikers look straight out of Mad Max, and are those a family of gophers from Caddyshack? Our movie begins with a red cloud in space with a Star Wars style text crawl. Man, I hate that kind of shit. The last thing you want to do at the movies is read. This movie one-ups George Lucas. They spent the $20 it would require to get a narrator. We open to the crew putting their droids to bed so they can plan a raid on the enemy ship. But Yeah, they're pirates, so technically they're the bad guys. But they're Hollywood pirates if they're only doing bad things because the government is a bunch of tyrants. They line up their hulls, get out their laser torches, and board the other ship. In the bathroom, no less. Much to the chagrin of that Andy Dick look-alike over there. Then they escape toward the laser tag arena. Corridor. Fate smiles upon them as there are no real guards. Just a play school ABC 123 robot riding around in a Roomba. The only one to spot them is an old woman. She's about to shout when they drag her into the other room. She says she's the guardian of the princess who's in cryo-sleep. Then the rent-a-cops who forget which Monty Python movie they're supposed to be in show up. They're dressed for Holy Grail, but they act more like the Roman guards from Life of Brian. They're so dumb that the black guy doing an old woman voice fools them. Jason takes one look at the princess, opens her hatch, kisses her, closes the lid, and leaves. And yeah, that does seem kind of ick to me. They fight their way to the cargo hold and find enough ice for one last score. Yeah, it's one of those kinds of movies. Jason finds a wire. He climbs on it and cuts one end of it. He swings into the control room to distract the guards. And I'll give this movie something. It knows what it wants to be. Completely over the top in its love of modern sci-fi and old pirate movies like the ones starring Douglas Fairbanks and Errol Flynn. It's very swashbuckling. People get their limbs cut off, but hold on to them so they can be reattached. It is almost like a live-action Looney Tune. The pirate droids and the Templar droids get into a big fight. The pirate droids may be a little more so since they start taking out their own team. More of them than the enemy, really. Back in the control room, the Templar troops are playing Minesweeper. Even wannabe Grand Moff Tarkin is practically napping on the job. The pirates make their way to the bridge. They say, give us the hold and everything in it, or we'll take over your entire ship. To show they mean business, Jason steals the captain's lunch. The crew relent, but then Jason asks one last question. How long has the princess been on board? This leads the captain to activate a countermeasure. The pirates make their escape, but Jason can't help himself. He has to bid farewell to the princess, or rather, abduct her and take her back to his ship. Half his crew is mauled in the attempt, but hey, them's the breaks. So they're fleeing, and this other ship shows up. Jason's like, forget it. They wouldn't possibly attack us while the princess is still on board. Boy, is he wrong. The best way to handle a hostage crisis? Shoot the hostages. It eliminates your enemy's ability to bargain. Jason tells his navigator/gunner to hop to it, but that man is clearly playing Galaga. He thought we wouldn't notice, but we did. He's not even playing that well. They get boarded by the Templars who arrest the crew and take the princess back. They say, resist and we fucking kill you. They are taken to this planet that is not only the Templars' homeworld, but it's the only source of yellow water in the galaxy. They meet this other pirate who goes, "Hey, you guys! We're gonna be castrated and turned into slaves." He also clues them in on the princess's whole deal. Her father is dead because he went looking for some sort of Shangri-La planet called the Seventh World. They're put on this conveyor belt for processing. The assembly line workers start complaining about their working conditions. I'm not joking. I know that seems like the sort of whole comment someone riffing on the movie would make, but no, it really happens. This movie is aware that it's camp and revels in it. Jason and his friends are terrified, and given what's about to happen, can you blame them? Only when they reach the other side, these beautiful women say, pretend that it happened and everything will be all right. The old woman from before shows up and says, I tried to talk her out of it, but she insisted. The princess proceeds to buy the pirates and take them to a masquerade ball. They have to pretend to be eunuchs while surrounded by rock and roll, booze, drugs, and zero gravity, or at least as close to that as you can show in a PG movie. But this is an 80s PG movie, so it's very close. Roscoe goes back to the coat room to check on the droids. He finds Sloth there and he wants a sandwich. Meanwhile, the princess tells Jason that she wants to go to the pirate moon. Which on the one hand is a good thing because that's where Jason was supposed to meet up with the rest of his crew. On the other hand, it's bad for two other reasons. One, because there's a pretty good chance they'd be tracked, and two, once you let the upper class or even the upper middle class into a neighborhood like that, you've got a much bigger threat to society than the Templars to deal with. Gentrification. Plus, there's that little problem of them not having a ship, which the princess says isn't really a problem, assuming that Jason knows how to steal a car.
Which is a bit like asking if you would like some Yoo-Hoo and Ho-Hos.
So they flee the party and kind of Blues Brothers it. Unfortunately, the gang gets separated. Killjoy and the poor man's Cleavon Little get distracted by a robo-pimp. They use a necklace they stole earlier as collateral to borrow his car, so they can catch up with the others. Captain Jean Lafoot wants to know where Jason and company went, and right as he says that, their ship takes off. Jason and the princess argue about who should be in charge. Jason says if he's not the captain, he's not flying. She says she owns the ship and everything on it. Plus, she brought the two best negotiators around, Smith and Wesson. The son of Zorn takes a pleasure trip to the Arboretum, and we get a few minutes of John Carradine, who looks stoned out of his mind and dribbling at the mouth. It could be worse. He could be singing Night Train to Mundofine. Roscoe and Jason get ready to land and meet up with the others. They notice this papier-mâché egg. A strange creature hatches out of it. It bites Roscoe before skittering off. They check the ship's manifest to see what it was, and it's a space herpy. I'd give it 5-1 odds that it's going to shapeshift into Dave Lister's underpants. On the pirate moon, people are fighting in the streets over droplets of water. It's like Les Miserables in space. Or maybe the whole moon is the Mos Eisley Cantina. Jason and the princess find the rest of the crew. It turns out half the ship was lost. The princess needs to find this guy. It turns out her father isn't dead, and this other pirate is the only one who can find him. Tila says, oh, him. He's out in the desert 50 miles outside of town, but will need to get past the guards to get there. They don't think the guards can be bought, but the princess could seduce them. Unfortunately, the frog man turns out to be a woman, and she's got the hots for Jason. While Jason goes to make the arrangements, the girls are left all alone. Some idiot hits on the princess. Tila defends her. Poor guy. He's already dead, he just doesn't know it yet. Jason, the princess, Dot Matrix, and Kermit the Harvey Firestein drive out into the desert and come across a bunch of old props from MASH and some barnyard animals. No strapping pirate guy, just Obi-Wan Kenobi. Only it turns out to be the same guy. He wants to make sure they weren't followed before explaining that he went to the seventh world with the princess's father. He got stuck in a time warp and lost 20 years in a few minutes, but they got there, and he can show them the way. But there's one problem. The Templars stole Daddy's ship. Then, what a lovely day! What a lovely, lovely day! A biker gang shows up and blows up Jason's car. Max's steamroller runs over Kermit. It shouldn't matter that much. The bikers go Rambo First Blood on the campsite. Jason, Lanky, and the princess flee by stealing another car. Jason decides to do some swashbuckling. He jumps up on the approaching battle wagon and fights them off. You know, for a movie called Ice Pirates, there sure are a lot of scenes in the desert and not a lot of ice. Anyway, he gets shoved off and then dragged behind them. Then he climbs back up onto the battle wagon and takes out all the gunners. He jumps off into his car right before the sand tank hits an exploding barrel. The explosion totals his car and kills Lanky. So he and the princess have to walk most of the rest of the way back to the ship. He gets on board and they set course for the galactic barrier.
Where Gary Lockwood mutates into God?
No. Let's start again. They get on board and set course for the galactic barrier. That's where the planet the old man said their next clue would be hidden. Yeah, this movie is a bit like the Da Vinci Code, only without Tom Hanks. Roscoe was confused by this idea of the seventh world, so Hellboy tells him all about it. It's sort of what would happen if Shangri-La fell Brigadoon in the Sargasso Sea, only with a time warp. The ship is crowded now. They've got the crew, the princess and her retinue, and the dead old guy's animals, which means for now, they've got some pretty good eats. Well, until they carve the chicken and a creature crawls out of it. Yeah, the space herpy is back. They decide to spend a few minutes searching the ship to kill it. At least until they can find the next sketch, which they find on the next planet. There's this palace and it's surrounded by a fog that smells like a fog of eternal stench from orbit. They go inside and come across Valkyries on unicorn back. Eventually they meet young Santa who says, I know why you guys are here. Jason says, great, just take us to the princess's father and you can come along. He says, nah, I'm good. I survived because I have access to resources people need to survive. If I leave, I've got nothing. But here, if people want water, they have to do what I say. That includes killing Jason. The Valkyries attack. Roscoe leaps in and stops it and kicks Bruce Valanche's head off, only he's still alive. The crew torture him by tickling his nose with a feather until he talks. He says the princess's father is upstairs. It doesn't take long to realize he's a robot. Jason tells the princess they'll find the real one. Bruce Valanche spits a ring out of his mouth. It connects to the one the princess already has. They start spinning and it generates a hologram. Her father tells them all about the splendors of the planet Krypton and... Oh, no, wait, I'm thinking of a whole other movie. Sorry about that. No, he gives them directions to the seventh world. And how to avoid the dangerous effects of the time warp. They head back to the ship. Jason's walking by the princess's quarters and hears her moaning, so he goes inside. She claims the robot was just giving her a massage, but we know what was really going on there. And I just realized something. The princess was played by Mary Crosby, the aunt of actress Denise Crosby, who played Tasha Yar on Star Trek The Next Generation. Which begs the question, is there some sort of genetic component to wanting to f AIs? Jason says he's found that holosuite program she asked about. His buddy Reg made it. And in spite of the fact that she was just finishing up, the princess and Jason set course for Pound Town at Warp Factor 7. The Templar ship shows up right as they enter the time warp. They get boarded. We get a fight scene, this one where everything is going fast at different rates. The princess starts feeling sick. The rest of the crew start looking older. The robots start jumping around because, unlike everyone else, they don't have to sleep. Jason finds out the princess is pregnant. He crosses halfway across the ship to meet his son, who's already several months old by the time he gets there. By the time Jason rejoins the fight, his son is already in preschool. The royal nanny is now a skeleton. Both crews are now old men. The robots' aging circuits have them doing a Three Stooges routine. And the pirates? Well, you remember how awful Harrison Ford's stunts looked in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Yeah, it was like that, only with a 1930s style pirate movie. Nero is about to kill Jason when his son, who's now in his 20s, comes to the rescue. Only even he can't fight off a robot army forever. Right when everything seems hopeless, they exit the time warp. Everything on the ship is returned to the state it was in when they first entered. Since the Templars didn't come in the safe way, they're lost in time forever. And we see the seventh world. It looks like this. That's right, it's Earth. We don't see them land, but that's probably a good thing. If we did, they'd probably run into Charlton Heston going, "You maniacs! You blew it up! Damn you! God damn you all to hell!" And that's it. That's the movie. What do I think about it? Well, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not even the worst movie I'd watched for this show. It's not even the worst movie I'd watched for this show this year, and we're only 3 episodes into the season. And remember, about half of the things I'm watching this year were chosen by vengeful members of the crew, so I think things are only going to get worse before they get any better. However, all that being said, Look at the cast. Ron Perlman, Harvey Fierstein, Angelica Houston, John fucking Carradine, and Bruce Valanche. All top talent, one and all. And each and every one of them are too good for this movie. Wait a minute, what the fuck am I saying? John Carradine was in The Unearthly, Red Zone Cuba, and Billy the Kid Meets Dracula. There wasn't a movie made between his first film appearance in 1930 and his final on-screen role in 1987 that was so bad that he wouldn't do it.
He wasn't in Manos, The Hands of Fate.
I'm sure if Hal Warren could spare $150, Carradine would have shown up for an afternoon.
He wasn't in Plan 9 from Outer Space.
You're right about that. Considering Ed Wood and John Carradine's career paths in the 50s, it is really surprising that they never worked together.
Are you stalling?
On what?
The verdict?
No, of course not.
If you didn't like it, just say so. I won't feel insulted. And if I won't feel insulted, other dad won't either.
You're wrong about that. One time I told Nick that Kung Pao Enter the Fist was just a poor man's What's Up Tiger Lily, and he threatened to shove his hands right up my...
Dude, can you get on with it?
No!
Hey, I thought you said the movie wasn't so bad.
Well, if the last movie you saw was Captain America 2 Death Too Soon, then yeah.
Come on, you've got to admit, some parts of it were funny.
I think Ice Pirates is an ambitious movie that didn't hit the mark.
You mind if I leave my own verdict?
I mean, do it like some sort of Siskel and Ebert thing?
Never heard of them.
Never mind. Okay, what's up for next month?
The first part of the super duper special event, Saturday Morning Cartoon Chaos Spectacular, featuring not one, but two of those Christmas present movie picks being forced on you.
No.
Yep, Matt wanted The Adventures of Wacky and Packy. One of the people who was supposed to pick something but couldn't think of anything said, make Jess suffer as much as possible, so I chose...
Well, let me guess. Flintstones Kids?
No such luck. I chose Scott McCloud, Space Angel.
Isn't Space Angel a public domain cartoon?
Yep.
Public domain material on my show?
It's not like you haven't done it before. It's almost your trademark.
There aren't any monkeys in this cartoon, are there?
No, of course not. A chimp? Yes. A monkey? No.
No. Just fucking no. If you liked this video, please hit like and subscribe. To see this channel grow and get your name on the credits, visit patreon.com/ParityErrorFilms and become a patron today. Give us enough money and just might let you have a say in some of the movies we watch in the 2022-23 season.